Hey, sorry, Matt. I was
I'm
a
here.
little.
That's all right. I got
I
here.
was a little late getting Hedgehog and the pillow and everything upstairs.
Yeah, I was there too.
You had sent me this. I don't know if you remember it.
Hey, sorry, Matt. I was
I'm
a
here.
little.
That's all right. I got here.
I was a little late getting.
All right, I think we're there. And I'm going to start recording now. Oh, okay, we are recording. Great. Thanks, Alice. Okay. And Warren is here and Ray.
Yep.
Excellent. Hi. Four, five. I don't think we're waiting for anybody else, are we? No. All right. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's February 18th, 2021. And we'll start with the approval of the minutes and the town clerk's report. Madeline, you have to unmute.
Sorry. Okay, so I have the January 18th workshop meeting, the January 21st town board meeting, and the January town clerk's report.
Oh, that's right, because we did the reorg at the January meeting, correct? We approved the reorg minutes?
Yes.
January meeting. Okay, great.
A motion?
I have two copies of the January 18th meeting. One is the original and one has corrections that I believe, Dara, you had put in.
Yes, I made corrections to this.
So I don't know if I have a copy that incorporated your corrections.
All right.
I think I wrote amended on all the, because I looked over the corrections that Dara wanted to make and I made them.
Oh, all
And I
right.
retyped them up and then handed them in.
All right. Well, if we trust that that was done and that what we have here is accurate.
I have two sets of the January 18th.
You do?
So one was Dara's corrections, what she wanted to have done, and then the next one is mine that the one without the corrections is the final copy. We could leave that off and wait till next month.
I have read the corrected copies. It's the same minutes. And I move that we accept the corrected copy of the
Okay.
minutes and the town clerk's report.
Second,
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. We have approval of the bills.
Okay, so I have general bills number 18224 through 18240. I have highway bills number 18242 through 18256, and the water district bills 3018 through 3020.
I move that we vote to pay those bills.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks, Madeline. Next, we are at Supervisor Statement. It was a good month for attending to the paperwork of the last year, pulling together and finalizing the specs for 3 RFPs for the highway garage, as well as demo for 8 North 12 and 12 North Main. We received word from the state that speed limit reductions were approved for Streever Farm Road, Carpenter Hill Road, Chase Road, and Bethel Cross Road. All of these will be reduced to 35 miles per hour. These come at no expense to the town for road speed studies due to the manner in which we made our presentation. And they opened up our ability to do that in lieu of speed studies. So I really want to thank Mike Manning for his invaluable help with this. And now we can ask for the next set of speed limit reductions. The Willowvale Bridge is all set for repair. They notified us that it'll start in March, and they will be letting us know a week or two ahead of time. And this is the county that fixes that. This will be a one-lane bridge designed to slow traffic in the area, as well as to discourage trucks from using this spur as a shortcut. The bridge design will be historic, reminiscent of the kind of work the county did at Patchen's Mill. My broadband report is a little discouraging. We have a tremendous committee working on this and have entertained numerous officials from both the legislature and the broadband companies themselves. Town of Pine Plains signed the NDA so that Consolidated would give us their maps and make an estimate as to what a build out would cost to cover all corners of Pine Plains. They have not yet sent this material. Altice was supposed to attend one of our meetings, set it up, canceled, and have not been heard from since. But the fact is that adequate high-speed internet for everyone is dependent on the federal and state governments taking the lead on this and completing this work, perhaps naming internet access as a utility and finding the money. The internet companies are not going to complete service on their own. They will not invest the money. They will, however, build out on a road if all the homeowners on that road join the contract to pay a $150 startup fee and $130 a month after that for 3 years. These fees pay the cost of extending the lines, so it's distributed along the road and over time. Trip Road, the people on Trip Road have just completed this and are looking forward to high-speed internet. Municipal broadband in the form of a town-owned company just does not make sense for a variety of reasons here. We will continue to monitor changes in law and funding opportunities, but we also recommend looking into Starlink if you're on the outskirts, a system using satellites that has contacted numerous homeowners for sign-up opportunities, even though the system is not yet available. I think they might be looking for adequate numbers to make this worthwhile in our area. And we will keep you updated about all this. We are pulling together a consortium of 3 or 4 towns to go meet with Greg Pulver on this issue in the next 2 weeks. I have continued my participation in the Pattern for Progress Fellows class on institutional racism and have found that you can expand the concept to people without money when it comes to ways of keeping certain kinds of people from owning their own homes via zoning. I think Pine Plains has actually done a good job paying attention to its zoning in this regard. And the new zoning review committee will be tasked with securing more ways to ensure equity in housing availability in Pine Plains. At the town board workshop on Monday, we launched the zoning review with our planners, and the work begins in earnest in March. It will take about 6 months and will clarify and adjust numerous items in our list of things to fix and change. This work comes as a result of the comprehensive plan update we completed last year, as well as consultation with the building inspector, the planning and zoning boards as to issues that have come up which need attention in their minds. Finally, a shout out to some really wonderful high school students who've begun a group to look at diversity in Pine Plains. They meet online every Thursday evening, and I look forward to hearing about their work together. Public comment. Anybody hear anything this week? I got a letter from a high school student who misses the siren on the firehouse. So I'm just passing that along. I will write back to her and tell her to contact them. But I think a lot of people miss that siren in a lot of ways. Maybe it's just the nosy people like me. Okay. Anything else?
Oh, rink hours I would like to change moving forward since weather is going to be starting to get warmer during the day. So morning skates should still be fine with the low temperatures at night, but then I'm thinking about pushing the evening to 6 to 9. Let the sun go down, let it cool off a little bit before people head out there. And we're on borrowed time now, so
Yeah,
we'll keep it going as long as we can.
great, Matt. It's been a lot of fun.
See, we've been using it, so it's been fun.
They are. Thank you. On to Warren. Do you have anything, Warren, for us other than what we talked about it for executive session?
No, just a couple of matters, litigation matters in executive session at the end of the meeting.
All right, great. In that case, let's move on to the highway report. Heather is not attending tonight. She had to be on a call for the college people for her daughter. We have had an extremely busy month and have spent a considerable amount of time tackling approximately 13 separate snow and ice events over the past 30 days. When we were not on the roads, we were back at the shop maintaining and preparing the fleet for the next storm. I have received and accepted a letter of resignation from one of my heavy motor equipment operators, Matthew Morgan, and am currently seeking applicants and conducting interviews. We will be down a truck and operator beginning Monday, February 22nd. Not an ideal time of the year to be short an operator. We will be doing our best to provide the level of service the residents are accustomed to with the assistance of part-time help when available. I have received word that the state should be reducing the original 20% hold of CHIPS funding to 5% for the year 2021. What this means for us: we should be eligible for an additional reimbursement in the amount of $16,351.72. I plan on submitting for these funds from our loader purchase just as soon as I receive confirmation and instructions from the state. I am hopeful to have my agreement for expenditures together for you next month for approval on upcoming road projects scheduled for this year. All right. In keeping with the highway topic, we have a number of bids in front of us. And one of which came late to you in the day because the salesman left off an important figure. And Don pointed it out to me and I had neglected to see it. So the first set of bids would be the boiler bids. And we have, I think, two viable bids and one that's so far out of our ability to pay that I think we should just take that one off the list of possibilities. I'm assuming that they thought that our garage was a lot bigger than it is, but I don't really know why this one is so high.
Yeah, that one was just out of sight. It was out of sight.
Out of sight, yeah. Great company. I've worked with them in the past, but this was quite expensive. So if it's okay with you that we'll cast that one aside first, then we could look at the Valley Energy and Taylor Brothers.
I mean, Taylor's right here in town. They also do all the service on it. They can do all the service on it as well. Does that make sense? It is a little bit more, right?
Well, we actually buy our fuel from Valley.
Oh, okay.
So I also wanted to point out the BTUs per hour and the efficiency of operation. I also found that in the Valley Energy, actually, Don, we were looking for that information that I remember about propane. It's on the back.
I saw it.
I know. I was like,
I
So-
looked.
yeah. He said we had asked for bids for oil and for propane. And Tim feels that propane does not burn as hot as oil. In large BTU applications such as this, it has been our experience that using propane will cost the town more each year in fuel than if you stay with oil.
Ray, have you looked at these? Do you have an opinion on them? You're muted.
I don't think
My
Ray,
apologies. No, I haven't seen the bids on those.
you know, honestly, the boilers look great. The cost, the Taylor estimate was included the knockdown of the existing boiler. But it does not include a new tank, right? So,
Either one, I believe,
Either one
includes a
does?
new
Okay.
tank. The
right,
Valley Energy had said that we will forward you a quote for that in the days to come.
Yeah.
For a new tank.
all right, so that's still coming. I was appreciative of the fact that Valley kind of gave us the advice on not buying the propane burner. And there are more BTUs offered in the oil burner that they suggest. To me, the difference in price of the new boiler is it's about, what is it, about $700 between the two.
What did you mean? Just say, Sarah, Dara?
The actual cost of the oil boiler
Mm-hmm.
is $15,500 for Valley
Right.
Energy and $14,800 for Taylor.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So I think that's about, there's a $700 difference.
No,
It's
well.
bigger, more BTUs.
And yeah, so
Well, I mean, if we're still waiting on the prices of the tank anyway, and I mean, do we need it this month, or can we have Ray look over it and get Heather's opinion on which one she thinks? Because the one could be too big, right? Or,
she does not have an opinion.
okay,
The Valley Energy people came over to look twice at the system to make sure that they weren't actually over
Proposing.
over proposing the size of the boiler.
Do we have any idea what is there now?
I don't.
You mean, is it oil?
Yeah,
It is an oil. Currently, I know it is an oil.
Oil, but I'm just thinking about the BTU output,
Yeah, I don't know
what it was originally designed for.
I would doubt Heather would know. It's pretty old. It's 24 years old. Probably hasn't put out a BTU in quite a while. I'm concerned about the boiler now completely breaking down, and then we're without heat because the block is cracked, and
I think we should go with the Valley.
I agree.
I think I agree too.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Could I have a,
I move that we select the bid from the Valley Energy Company
And that's for the oil solution.
for the oil.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you very much. We're gonna move on that right away. The second is the water filtration system. Now, there was some confusion about who installed the original system, which was neglected completely, evidently, for a long time and quit working altogether, something like, well, numerous years ago. It wasn't working 10 years ago already. So it turns out that although we thought one company had done it, actually it was this company, the Water Source, which had originally put in the system. The man who owns this company remembered putting it in and was upset that it had never been maintained, because he felt that had it been maintained, he could have probably fixed it. But it was so corroded and completely broken that that's not possible. So his proposal is about $5,400. And this and it's this Kinetico electric water softener.
Ray, have you seen these proposals?
You're still muted, Ray.
I had seen the one proposal that came from the local vendor, and he was willing to hold his price. That was the one that was provided, I believe it was last March, just before COVID hit, if I remember correctly, from Richard Cummings.
Yep.
I had seen that one proposal and had reviewed it and found, at least in his proposal, that the units that he was proposing were appropriate. I have not seen the other proposal.
My only concern was that we were looking at the same thing. You know,
An apples to apples comparison?
You mean you want to make sure we're looking at the same thing, Don?
yes.
From the specs here, it's hard to tell. It sounds like this Kinetico system is quite modern. It generates only when needed.
Would it be possible to have Ray look at all three of them and give us an opinion, is that they're all the same, you know, level of treatment? And then vote on it next month?
I would like that.
That sounds great. I'll send these to you, Ray.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take a look at them right away.
Okay.
We haven't had it for 10 years. We can go another month.
Exactly.
No, but with the new water filtration system, if the other one hasn't been maintained, is this something that we ask our water department to maintain it instead of the highway department, or no?
No, it's just like pouring salt in it and doing, you know, it's like the same kind of system you have in your house. It just,
Okay.
yeah, they didn't.
Somebody just needs to pay attention to it, really.
Right.
And again, it's not that it's a lot of maintenance, honestly. It's just making sure that there's, again, in the case of the softener, which was one of the components, is making sure that it's, you know, the crock is filled as far as the salt, and there's really no maintenance on the other unit.
I believe there's a whole unit filter that has to be changed on a regular basis. And then there's another tank that no one really could explain to me what it was. So, I mean, it would be somebody that, and I'm knowing the comments we've had in the past, it would have to be our buildings and grounds department would have to routinely check it and maintain it. it will be another duty, I would think, for our buildings people.
I really like the, make sure you read the Kinetico systems. It's cool. It's a new kind of system, as opposed to what, it's hard for me to tell how, where these are in terms of, efficiency and innovation.
Okay.
Okay, great. I'll send this to you tomorrow.
Kevin, electronic, or are they all electronic? The data that was provided, or is it hard copies?
One is a hard copy, but I can, I can scan it and send it to you tomorrow.
Well, I have to be out to the town hall tomorrow anyway, so
I
that's the
see.
reason I mentioned, if you want, you can drop it right into the water department
Okay.
box. And I can pick them up then, because I have to drop off the spec books.
Okay, great.
No.
I will do that. All right. And the drainage issue, I just wanted to report that we've got the RFP and the proposal, and we're just about to put out the RFP on that. Ray, did you want to say anything about it?
Yeah, so actually we have we have the RFP for the drainage project. Actually, it's a bid for that. That'll be going out either tomorrow or at the latest Monday. In addition to that, Hicks Hill as well. So that Hicks Hill project, we've completed that bid document. We've notified the Millerton News as far as placing it in the paper as far as the notice to bidders. And we've filled out the forms that are required and submitted those back to the town supervisors, so that way they can be submitted to the county for placing it on BidNet. So that way, I think we'll get a broader number of contractors interested in that particular project. So, so from a highway department standpoint, those two bids are out.
Great. I filled out all those forms and they're just waiting for the final.
Good.
Okay. I think that's it for highway, except for a personnel issue that we'll discuss in executive session. All right. We have now the building inspector report. 4 shed permits, or building permits, sorry, not shed permits, building permits. A shed, a renovation, a roof replacement, and an alteration. And there were 4 total permits year to date, since the year is young. And 3 certificates of occupancy issued, 3 certificate of occupancy searches, and 14 site inspections performed. We're already, let's see, we're at 4 for 21 in February. 2020 was a total of 6 building permits. So, we might be on our way to another record. Police department. They spent 205 hours on patrol, 31 hours in administration. Now that's got to do with administration, but also the fact that Mike Beliveau and I are going through the police policy from Lexipol, and we are on our way. We've been working with Lexipol on it, and he's proud of us. And we all learned this software program, and we sit down and do as much as we can per week. So we've got the most important parts of it, the use of force and all the administrative stuff, how we hire, all the kind of technical details done. And we're on to the other categories. There are 10 chapters in it, and we have 3 of them completed. It's very slow work, and we're all reading everything. Let's see, 3 hours of investigation, 4 hours of training, and 8 hours of vehicle work. They answered 32 complaints, 1 fire EMS call, no accidents, issued 37 traffic warnings, 39 tickets, and made 2 arrests. And Officer in Charge Hughes attended 1 Lexipulse webinar and 1 meeting with Duchess Governor's reference coronavac. Oh, the chiefs are meeting with the governor regarding the vaccine and essential workers. I've been trying to get the county to offer vaccinations to all our essential workers. And they're trying to help me, but they are completely overwhelmed by this. So it's slow going, but I think we'll be able to get it done. They've been really helpful. The county's been, it's as good as it can get in a hysterical crisis, I think. And Ray.
So on the water end, the average use continues to be high. Last month for January, the average daily usage was at 58,000 gallons per day. So that's about roughly 18,000 gallons higher than we would like to see. Much of that we believe is associated with the cold weather. I think that there are a few houses obviously that have been vacant. And so I've been going around trying to find out where that leak may be occurring. No luck as of yet. And unfortunately, I actually have been having a problem with the device that we use to try to locate the leaks themselves. It utilizes radio and sound waves, and it's an older unit. I believe that it's at least 20 years old, if not slightly older. And while I've been able to fix it in the past, the company's no longer in business. So I'm going to be getting quotes for a new piece of equipment. They generally run around $5,000 to $6,000, but I'll get quotes for a new unit, and I'll present that to the board for next month. But in the interim, I'll still try to utilize and get by with the piece of equipment I have. Water meters, maintenance of water meters, 2 meters were rebuilt and replaced. The annual water quality report was submitted to the Dutchess County Department of Health for their review and approval. Once that's done, we'll be submitting copies to each one of the customers within the water district with their first quarter water bills. We'll also provide ALISA electronic copies so it can be posted onto the town website, and we'll have copies available, hard copies available at the town hall for the public to pick up, and I'll provide copies to the town board members as well. I am proud we continue to have great water quality. We've met all the standards as far as the health department, and no issues there. So that's been great. We've conducted the first round of the new testing for PFOAs and PFOS water quality issues. So if you remember or have heard of Hudson Falls and water quality issues that they've had with those contaminants, they tend to come from, they're man-made chemicals. It's actually a family of chemicals, generally speaking, associated with use of Teflon and firefighting foams and things of that nature. But the state passed a new regulation that makes it mandatory that all water supplies, all public water supplies test at least 2 consecutive months. Once that data comes in, then we may be able to get a reduced, and again, if we're below the state standards, we may be able to go to a reduced testing schedule that would reduce it to once every 3 years. Okay, we haven't had any traces of it in the past when we've sampled, but now it's a mandatory sample. Before we were doing it voluntarily. Other than that, just maintenance on the chlorine pumps, which were done. So we try to do that every couple months just to make sure everything's up and operational. And everything has worked out real well with pump number 2 once that was installed, and we haven't had any issues with that particular unit. So we're back to normal there.
Great.
On the engineering side, the only other item to add would be the bids for the demolition of 8 North Main and 12 North Main. As the supervisor had indicated in her report that I had met with her and we've reviewed the documents, and it's again was placed into the Milligan News today. So that way they'll go ahead and post the notice to bidders. And again, the forms were filled out so it could be placed on the county's BidNet or utilize the county's BidNet services to get it to a broader range of contractors. So I'll be dropping those documents off to the town hall tomorrow. Those bids, along with the highway bids, will be coming in on March 12th. That's the date that the bids are due. So that way we'll have them in time for the March board meeting for the board to make a decision on that.
And that is also Jack Kerouac's birthday. Just in case anyone wants to know.
A bit of trivia.
Yeah. I do want to remind everybody, I think I've said this before, but I did go to the bank that has the bond for the last extension of the water lines, the repair and extension of the water lines, to see if we could pay it off. That loan is at a little over 4%. The requirements of the bond will not let us prepay it, which is really too bad because rates right now are at below 2%. However, we do have the cash to complete pretty much the entire next or last leg of it, right? The third leg?
It'll be the third leg. So it wouldn't be the last one, but it would be the leg heading down Route 82. So it'd be going from Lake Road up to the intersection in the center of town by the lake.
So that might be a discussion we want to have soon about whether we want to go for it. We've been saving our pennies and we have the ability. I would have rather reduced our interest rate, but okay, anything else for water?
No.
Okay, thank you, Ray.
Sure.
Okay, recreation. This is from Michael Cooper. I had a phone call last week about our program with District 17. They are aware of our reorganization of some of our programs, and we are planning on opening our softball and baseball registration page starting the first week of March, with a target of the season opening in the early portion of April with the rest of District 17. We are announcing the formation of the baseball subcommittee by the end of the week, open to all who are part of our program. Anyone can contact, anyone interested or concerned about it can contact Michael via email, recreation@pineplains-ny.gov. And he says that the preservation of baseball and softball is a priority. He upgraded most of our equipment at the close of last year. So that's. Any questions on that?
Can I add one thing about if maybe recreation isn't the right place to do it, but asking Alice to kind of check with the seniors in the rec program to find out if they're having trouble signing up for their COVID shots because they don't have the internet or smartphone access that's required on some of these signups.
Yeah.
Just a simple addition to her mailing or something like that, that they should contact her and then we could somehow make a provision to help people do this.
That sounds great.
I know that the drugstores sign up. You have to have a smartphone because you have to take pictures of your insurance cards, and it's all set up to attach it. So if Alice could do that and just sort of give us whatever feedback she gets.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Don. Animal control. In the current month, there were 10 hours spent on patrol, meeting, or training. 3 calls were received, 20 miles traveled, 1 complaint investigated, 1 missing or found dog reported. Rich Prentice is also our emergency action officer and has been helping me with the plan, which is also mandated by the state and which is also due April 1st. So I will discuss that in old business actually in a bit, really soon. But he's been great, and we've been on the phone a lot about it. So if there's nothing else here, I'll go on to old business. We need to pass the police reform and modernization plan for Pine Plains. So I issued this to you all about a month ago with the comments and additions from our police stakeholders committee, who has read through this plan. Let me give you the history of this plan. When the governor mandated that every town and city and village have a reform and modernize their police policies, the county of Btus pulled all the agencies and all the towns that have departments together to create a document that all of us could use uniformly. So the idea was we don't each have to reinvent the wheel in every town. We could all use the same document. This document was designed mainly for more urban places. So when we sat down with the document to read every page and examine it as the stakeholders committee, a lot of the work we did was in trying to figure out what pertained to us and what didn't, and to eliminate those things that don't pertain to us, to retain things that someday we might want, but we don't necessarily have capacity for right now, and to kind of, I don't know, mold a few of the ideas to our size and our community. So I went through, after the committee met for a few months, we met every Wednesday, and I took everybody's recommendations and I went into the county's plan and I did all the edits that everybody recommended. And then I put the commentary into the document, which is now, I actually went through it and highlighted the Pine Plains part of it. So we are at this point finished, and we need to pass this. It's due April 1st. If we don't pass it, we will lose funding. That is the threat from the state. So Sarah and I were on the committee. Maybe Sarah, you could say a few words about it.
Well, it was an excellent process, and our police department functions extremely well. And we had very few guidelines that we weren't already following, that we wanted to follow, that were suggested that we follow. So I'm very happy with the process, and I completely support passing the work that's been done. And now we're starting to hear other, I don't know if you listen to the news, other municipalities are starting to talk about the kinds of things that they've had to undertake pursuant to this requirement. I think we're in excellent shape, and I think our police department functions very well for us.
Yeah, I think we've said that how good that committee was. They were super thoughtful.
Well, how good our police department, the policies that our police department follows at this point in time are really pretty exemplary.
Yeah.
And so there was very little that needed to be changed, or we just reinforced things that were already happening and policies that they were already following. So it was very nice. It was a good process.
And a lot of the plan that is the boilerplate plan that the county came up with was created out of best practices by every town that has a department. So a lot of it is comprised of ideas that other departments had. There are a bunch of ideas from Pine Plains that actually we had been talking about for a while. So they loved the ride along, the driving lesson idea. So that's in the plan. That comes from Pine Plains. The bull session idea comes from Pine Plains. And I'm trying to remember some of the things that we presented, but
Well, a lot of the concerns that people had were about issues where police used force and also where there were police complaints and how those were dealt with.
Yeah.
And our police almost never use force and they don't get complaints. So there we are in a really good position to start off from. It's awesome.
Jared, maybe you could help me with this. What are you working on with Mike Belleville? Isn't
that is
part
separate.
of-
Nope, that's a separate thing. That is an actual policing policy.
Oh, well, okay, that's where my confusion is.
Okay, so
Okay,
you
right.
know how we have the book that's at Town Hall, it says police policy?
Yes,
It's from 1984.
right.
So we needed to update it for the state. And we definitely needed to have a use of force policy that was updated.
Right. Well, my confusion was, I thought these two things were the same thing.
No, they are not.
And that's what I didn't. And you know, one thing I was going to ask, my follow-up question was, is the first one, and thanks to Bob Kaus, it's pretty good policy, even though, you know, for the time when he originally wrote it. But it is established by a local law. So we have to make sure that we're somehow consistent with the, you know, the directives of the local law. So that's Warren would have to be involved. So you clarified my biggest problem that I've had all along was not understanding that these were actually two separate things. So thank you for that.
Okay. Any other questions? Could I have a motion?
I would move that we accept the police reform and moderation plan for Pine Plains, modernization plan for Pine Plains.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, great. Thank you. It's a lot of work. And I will let the committee know that they are appreciated and that this was passed. It's very, I think our police will be very grateful because there's a lot of care of them in it. I would like to, so I'm just going to skip to C for now, which is the emergency action plan discussion. And I just want to say I don't have anything yet to show you. I'm almost done with it. I met with Rich Prentice. He looked over what I had done so far with Heather, the two of us. Now, this plan is a pandemic plan. This is for a huge emergency like a pandemic. And it involves what to do. A year ago, you know, March 13th, we had to shut the doors and walk away. And we had no plan. And all I was doing was I had my ear glued to the radio to see what the governor told us to do. And a lot of us were pretty paranoid about what this was. And I went back in on the 16th to work because I couldn't figure it out. And then at some point during the day, I just told everybody to go home because everything was being shut down. So now that we know a lot more about this kind of situation, we can have a plan in place to implement quickly. And that's what this is about. And that's what the governor wants. So we took a template from the Association of Towns, which Rich ended up really liking. I've heard various opinions on this. The county is also, just like the modernization plan, they are working on an emergency action plan to share with all the towns and villages. However, they haven't got it done yet. And I started working on this when I found the template, which was shared with me from some of the other towns. And so I think I have one piece of research to do. And then we're good. Now, in light of that, one of the things that I want to bring up in new business is that remote work from home would be ideal. So that doesn't mean just that you get into your email from home. It means that you can get into the server at Town Hall and actually do your work. So it's critical for the courts. It's critical for Judy, town clerk, the tax collector, the assessors. They could all work from home if they had to. What we would need for that would be this thing called a VPN, which is a piece of electronic equipment. And I have a quotation from our official IT people let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. The piece of equipment costs about $1,500. The setup is $800, and it would cost us $99 a month. So we don't have to act on this anytime right now, but I would really like to kind of entertain the notion because it's been difficult to get anything done. It's been a little scary coming into work without knowing what was going on. And we still have people who have not returned to work on a consistent basis due to health concerns.
Good question.
Yeah.
So if we do the buy the equipment, do the installation, do we have to once we do that, do we have to pay the monthly fee, or do we get can we pick and choose? Like, say we don't need it for the next 2 months, but then all of a sudden we get shut down again. Then could we, subscribe for 3 months and then shut it down again? Or is it like a 3-year contract that we have to sign?
Well, that's a good question. I can ask that.
Because if we don't have to commit to the monthly, for years on end, I think that it would be a good thing for us to have just in case something does happen, because it would be one of those things we should act now instead of if everything gets shut down again, then we got to, scramble and worry about getting the VPN.
Okay. I can ask.
My
that.
opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense. Any other questions on that? I'm not proposing this right now, but I just thought as we work through this action plan, we're going to have to make that decision, I think. And I think it would be helpful, actually right now, it would be helpful to the planning board, to all kinds of.
Yeah, I think, Matt, if you got it, people would start using it.
Yeah.
And that they would be used even if we didn't have an emergency going on. That's my guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be really nice for that.
It could raise other issues of whether you want people in town hall.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think certain set hours would still have to be, for Judy would have to be there for permits and stuff like that. But I mean, I feel a lot of people are able to work from home, and if you can work from home and get your stuff done, I mean, I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, I mean, I love office hours because people do come in and see, who's there, and it's nice. It's nice to have people come to town hall, but in a situation, especially like this, or a snowstorm or anything else.
Oh yeah, there's huge usefulness to it in today's world.
Yeah, it would really modernize things here. So I just am skipping ahead, I know, but I wanted to kind of talk about this because I have to complete this plan and I'm going to be sending it to you in the next couple weeks. And the last thing on old business, we already talked about the RFP for the demolition of 8 and 12 North Main.
Yes.
It's forthcoming. And the only other thing is the renewal of our health insurance. Joyce has once again recommended that we stay with that silver plan. And she showed me the computation she makes in order to figure out what's going to save us money. So it's still the silver 3 plan. It is going up, and we were prepared for this because she always calls us in the fall to just estimate how much health insurance in general is going to go up. For us, the price is right now, it's going to go up $2,000 for the whole year. Or if we replace a full-time worker with somebody who wants, I'm just imagining they have a family to insure, the highest it would go up would be $3,400 for the year. And that's keeping the HRN in place, which is the health savings that we only pay when they use it. So basically, it's just the same insurance, everything's in place. It will go up as predicted. I actually think it's going up less than I thought. So that's the news.
Do we have to take action on that?
Yeah, well, you have to let me sign it.
Well, I propose that we authorize Dara to sign that.
To renew the,
Second that.
Renew the health insurance.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, great, okay, thank you. By the way, the dental, some people do not want to do the dental anymore, and we need 5 people in order to keep it. Now that we've had it for a year, or people who have had it for a year are eligible to upgrade it, which actually makes it more worthwhile because the money you pay in would actually go for bigger things like root canals and stuff like that. But those are paid by individuals. That's not a town thing. I just wanted to let people know. All right. We don't have the Stissing Lake Association and the geese issue tonight. We're going to invite the DEC to talk to us in March. The next thing is I would like to propose that we hire Ann Noon to the Board of Assessment Review.
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It'll be great to have her back in town hall. John wants us to discuss a new police car. We have an opportunity. All right, every year when I get his budget, he puts in money, this imaginary money for us to set aside for a new police car. The Crown Vic is basically useless. I believe it's the Taurus. No, the Taurus is good. The Explorer is aging. These things get a lot of wear and tear, and they get beaten pretty badly. So they've been looking around at what is the best car, trying to figure out what would be a good deal. The prices on these things are astronomical. In the past, 3 years that I know of, we've outfitted the cars with a lot of equipment because everything had to be upgraded. Again, another state mandate, the computers, all the stuff that they have. We have an opportunity to buy a car that was not, that was ordered and never paid for and never picked up. And this is a Ford
Intercept.
Interceptor. It's all-wheel drive. It's completely fitted out with everything that a police department needs. So there would be, it includes the computer, the decking station, all these things that we had to add on to our other cars. And once again, I think I might be able to get a really good loan for this if we didn't want to pay for it outright. But the cost is $55,527.97. And it's basically sitting on a lot, ready to go.
How much of the total here does John have in an account?
Well-
For that purpose?
It's an imaginary account because what I did was I didn't want to put it in a capital account. We didn't approve that each year, you know, he just puts it on his budget. But if I put things into capital accounts right now, we lose out on the money that we've got in our sweep, which is where we're making some interest. So I've got, I'm keeping a tally on what we have, but we don't have a capital account for it. So, you know, it's been, basically you kind of have to start saving for the next car when you buy the first car. If that makes sense. I think the one we want to replace is actually like a 2017.
I'm really reluctant to spend the money this year. I really don't think it's necessary. I think we've got to, you know, draw in a little bit here.
Anybody else?
But when was the last purchase that we made of a police car?
I believe it was 2017.
I mean, this is a good price, I think.
It is. I think that's why this has come up.
I think it's a good price if we want to spend it, but I don't know.
Theoretically speaking, over the last 3 years, how much money have we budgeted towards this account?
Well, I don't know what any thinking was before I got into office, but if you if you pretend that I had done this, it would be 12.5 a year. That I believe
It's phantom money. It's phantom money.
Phantom money, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was sort of something that Brian maybe had set up or talked about, but it was never actually done. And I, as I said, I didn't want to put anything in a capital account so that we could get that, all that big interest at one point, nothing at this point. But it's better than what we're getting in anything else. These things do take a lot of beating.
Oh, they're used every day, and yeah.
What's our old one worth?
I don't know.
How long is this good for, do you think, this price?
Well, I think that's what they're afraid of, is he's going to sell it to some other department.
I mean, it would be nice to talk to John face to face and find out exactly when we bought these last two cars.
Yeah.
You know, it just seemed to me it wasn't too long ago we finished paying off, setting up the most recent purchase. And so I don't know.
How many?
I'm concerned. If this, the COVID doesn't go away and the vaccination doesn't do it, we're, you know, I'm just concerned that we're setting ourselves up for problems.
Well, I will tell you that as regards sales tax and mortgage tax, we're quite a bit ahead of where we thought we would be,
Oh, wow.
even on a regular year.
I'm not opposed to spending the money, but I would like to hear from John though as well. But I agree with Sarah that I think that's a really good price for everything that comes with it.
All right, well, do you want me, I'll just get back to John and ask for some history here.
Is the main reason he's
I'm
looking
not,
for a
I'm
new
not
car?
opposed to it.
He found a new car?
Pardon, Roy?
I just was, sorry, Sarah, to speak over you there, but was he looking for a new car before this new car appeared?
Yes. Yes, he's been planning this for a long time.
Gotcha.
And this one just had, this is just an opportunity we have to get something that's completely already got everything.
What were you saying, Sarah? I
Well,
apologize.
I'm not, I'm not opposed or totally, keen on it. I just, I just don't know the answer.
Yeah. It's tough.
Theoretically, taxpayers have already ponied up a good chunk of change for this purpose. Somehow, that money is there.
Yeah. They do collect a revenue every year of 32,000 plus. Whether we like that or not, it's the fact of how the system works. So that practically, it pays for what? Half the car.
I would like to know what it would cost us if we went out and bought one that wasn't sitting there waiting. That would be a useful figure to have.
Okay.
If we had to do that. But there's a piece of me that hates to let if this is as good a price as I am kind of guessing it is, because it's just a guess on my part. I really don't know. That's one of the problems I have. And how much would it cost us if we didn't have this opportunity in front of us? That would make a difference to me.
I mean, he makes it sound like it's a turnkey car, like, no, we don't have to add anything though at the end of the day either. Like computers are there, everything is there.
Yeah.
Like Sarah said, what kind of savings does this really represent?
We really need to know that. I need to know that.
Okay, I'll find out.
We can look and see, yeah.
Yeah, I will be back to you as fast as I can on this, just in case.
And then if it's really if it's really substantial and people think we should do it, maybe we can let them know that we're going to vote on it next month.
Okay,
But they hold the car for our department
that sounds great.
if we decide to go forward with it.
You can always ask.
Okay, I know.
Yeah. Okay. And that is it. I think we are done with the main business, and I would like to propose that we go into executive session to discuss.
One more quick thing, if I could. I'd like to give a little shout out to Matt Finley because he actually was following up on a lot of those speed tests that we did for the broadband and actually stopped by, and I was one of the people who was extremely low.
Yeah.
And, actually asked we had quite a chat in trying to figure out why I was low, whether it was old equipment. And even if it was the new equipment that I was using, I still was extremely low. And it was, I really appreciated the fact that they were following up on that survey that they did.
We have this incredible broadband committee. It's just amazing.
Wonderful. Yay, Matt. That's terrific. And all the rest of them.
They really know what they're doing. You should see the maps. Jim Petrie has mapped all of the service that we got information on back from the survey, and it's extraordinary. So this is the work we have to do on our own to prove to the state and the feds that we are not completely served by high-speed internet. So we're hoping it's not a moot point, but we're doing the work. And Matt found that Don didn't have the service technically that he was paying for.
Right.
Right, Don? Yeah.
And the interesting thing was, it was also my neighbor across the street.
Oh, really?
But of the 5 of us in this little cluster, 6, there are only 2 of us responded.
Yeah.
So we were the 2 that were low. So, we really should look a little bit more and find out what the others are.
Yeah.
But, my next step is to challenge Optima, and find out what, where I have 25 available, where the minimum should be 100 that I'm paying for.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So anyhow, I just wanted to say thank you, Matt.
Great. There's lots to thank him for this week. All right. Could I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel and some litigation?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I believe that we're going to have to vote. We need to vote on something to do with the personnel when we come back out. So we're not going to adjourn yet, if that's okay with you. And I'm going to have to figure out. So goodbye, Ray.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Ray.
Madeline, the question will be whether,
Should I leave and then come back?
I'll shoot you a text when we're done.
Okay, so I'll leave and then I'll just join.
that would-
Okay.
and now I'm going to end our live on YouTube.
I'll stop